House to Home gives practical tips and recommendations to keep your house up to date. Sponsored by Avista.
Welcome to House to Home. I'm Clyde Hawsey, and my special guest is Tim Magney with Wilbur Ellis. Tim, when I call you, you come and you save the day because I am continuously looking at my yard right now, and I'm along with everybody else, and we're wondering, okay, it's October, and we're going to date this show, you see, by saying October.
Already.
And it's 81 degrees out there. You just told me when you came in.
Yep.
I thought we had snow here a couple of years ago on this time or shortly thereof.
Last year, about a week ago, we'd had snow.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, my point that I'm trying to share with you is that times have changed, and we have to be fully aware of what's taking place within the yard. And all I can say is that, Tim, lead us on. We've been through the summertime. We were just talking about the watering of our lawns. What do you recommend right now? What do you think we should be doing?
And again, here we are.
The turf.
No more normal. Weather is what it is. 81 degrees in October. Last year it snowed, so it's just kind of a crazy deal.
You got to be aware of it.
You do, and you got to let Mother Nature kind of dictate your plan.
Yeah.
If last year you blew out your sprinklers the 1st of October, you shouldn't have them blown out now because we still need some water. The yard needs water, and not every day. I mean, it could be a couple times a week at this point, and be just fine. It's more of those plants that I worry about going into winter if we shut it down at 81 degrees, and how long is that going to impact
The shrubs and the trees.
Absolutely, because they need to go into winter healthy and vibrant and ready to go, as opposed to dried out and stressed out.
Okay. And you use the words I was just going to say. The lawn is a separate item from the shrubs
material.
And the trees. If you stress them out, and we have a hard winter, which we could. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know.
Who knows?
Have
Again,
you
no
heard
more
what it's
normal.
gonna be?
No, I don't know. And I sell de-ice, so I don't have a clue.
I have no idea
No
at that
clue.
point. So anyway, watering, you need to pay attention to what's going on. So
Yep.
you can begin to back it off a little bit, I assume.
Oh, absolutely. And if you can just set your plant material to be watered sometime, you could do that as a side
With
from
a
the
drip
yard.
system, yeah.
With the drip system. And hopefully most systems are set up that way that they're separate. Not all are, but
Right. You have some overlapping
yeah,
here and there.
you still need to water those. But the other thing, thinking about coming into fall, which we should think about here pretty soon, is fall is the best time to fertilize for our
Great
lawns.
idea. Yep.
We've got to put on a fertilizer that's going to take us into winter. It's going to get it ready for spring. You can go down the street in the spring and tell who fertilized and who didn't.
It's
and it's
interesting.
really important.
I've always said you use the 5 major holidays, starting
Mm-hmm.
from Easter, Labor Day, Christmas. I mean, I've always picked those 5 days, and it ends up, I fertilize them. And somebody said, why do you fertilize when there's snow on the ground? Well, it's all right. It'll melt.
It'll get through it.
But it's
It'll get
very
through it.
important that you keep the lawn not stressed out, right?
Right. And we don't want those highs and lows of fertilizer. We don't want to go out and dump it on and then forget about it for 6 months and then dump it on again. We want to keep it nice and consistent.
Right.
5 times a year is a perfect number for your yard.
So again,
Perfect
if you
number.
want to circle, just circle the numbers on your calendar, the major holidays. You can go
Yep.
Easter, Memorial Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, and you can even go into
Halloween,
Halloween,
I don't
any
care.
of that. Yeah,
Yep,
any of that.
Perfect timing. I'm going to be thinking about then myself.
Yeah. I even go through and I even top dress even once a month, just a very light covering. Again, keeping
Mm-hmm. Right.
your lawns so they're not being stressed out, and the plant
Right.
material is going to make it successful. And the other thing I found out is by doing that, I don't have as many weeds in my lawn.
Right. You have a thick, healthy lawn that can overcome those kind of things.
And that's very cheap.
You probably don't have irrigation issues. You probably don't
Nope.
have weeds. You don't have bug problems. You don't have those
Well,
things.
I got bug problems.
Well, we all get a little bit of that. But at the same time, you're helping the turf fend off most of the problems by
Now-
healthy turf.
You want to fertilize the lawn. Now, what about the shrubs? I don't want to be fertilizing them this time of the year, do I? Unless you
Well-
haven't done it before?
Well, I mean, it's fall and spring. I want to wait till the leaves are off of them before I really
Okay.
think about
Slow
fertilizing
release.
them. Slow release is awesome. Get it on there. Make it be available for it in the springtime, because it seems to be in the spring we got so many things going on.
Yep.
We forget about those or forget about a couple things, and we miss that. But if we could do it late in the fall, it's very good.
Can you help us out here, Tim? Again, at Wilbur Ellis, if there's anybody in the complete Spokane Inland Empire area who has knowledge of the turf, and it is Tim. Tim Magney is a turf guru of it
Well,
all.
thank you, Clyde.
But anyway, but you're looked at with the golf courses, they pay you a lot of money just to give your opinion on it. And it's well appreciated, but what type of fertilizer should we use in our lawn in the fall, and what type on the shrubs?
Well, again, the lawn, we want to have something with a good amount of sulfur in there, which is not one of the 3 major numbers, but you can always ask and see what the sulfur number
Right.
is. You want to balance. We sell, and you can pick it up at most of the retailers around town. It's called Autumn Elite. It's 21-0-21, and we want that third number to be there for root development, and because it'll still do it over the winter time. The sulfur helps with disease.
Right?
Potash helps with roots, and then we have the nitrogen component, which is sitting there waiting for spring and going to help you have a lush lawn. In the shrubs, we want to make sure we get something with some micronutrients in it, some of those other ones, manganese, magnesium, and some of those things that the plant needs, and make it slow release if possible.
Again, the secret to this whole thing is slow release.
In those, for sure.
In knowing that for sure.
Yep.
Okay. I come from the old school because I'm old, but the issue is sometimes spraying bugs in the fall. I keep on saying it's one of the best times to get rid of the bugs before
absolutely.
spring.
Absolutely. I mean, you talk about pest control spraying, spider barriers around your house. They're all
Right.
getting ready to move into your house because it's starting to get cold out. If you put a barrier up.
Mice.
Or mice. I mean, and there's a lot of different products out there that one can use.
Right.
But a perimeter spray around your house for pests is an awesome time. There is a window right now when we can even treat for crane flies that have been in your
Really?
yard. Yeah, there's a fall time and then a spring window when we can treat for those. So
If
not
you've
a
been
bad time to
invaded
do
by
that.
a lot of birds in some areas on your lawn, it's
You
probably because of the
prob-
crane flies.
It's
am I
probably
right?
crane fly, yep.
Okay. And what about some weed control in the lawn area in the fall?
Love that. Love that. Hard to control weeds, take a lot of nutrients, take a lot of their energy and move it to the roots in the fall. If you hit it with a herbicide, it goes down in there and all of a sudden you got control of that much better.
I know, folks, clover is not a turf grass.
No. Hey, they used to plant it a lot in
I
turf
know
grass,
they did.
but now it's not desirable.
No, your fescues and
Bluegrass, ryegrass.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So a bladed grass is what I'm saying.
Yes.
So now is the time to be spraying clover. Am I right?
Everything that's out there as a broadleaf weed should be sprayed this time of year.
Okay. So if
Help
you're not
you
set
go
up,
into fall good, spring you're ready to roll.
right. So when spring comes and the fertilizer really kicks in with the waylay, it's ready to take
Right.
off. It's not fighting for that same nourishment
Yep.
that the weeds are there.
Not trying to compete
Okay.
against that.
Now, I made comment to you about using an oil, and I don't know much if it's being used much anymore in the fall for killing off eggs that are being laid by the bugs.
There's very little dormant sprays going on with an oil this time of year, kind of more fruit tree related.
Okay, fruit
it's
tree.
a springtime thing that happens more than anything.
Okay, well,
But fruit trees, I mean, they need special stuff and
to keep the bugs out.
bugs and disease. I mean, they're one of those things you got to spray all the time.
Okay.
And fall's a great time.
So again, talk to your applicator, who's ever
Yep.
you're working with. Have them give you the right information and just cross-check. Don't
Yep.
be afraid to ask questions.
Don't be
right?
afraid to ask questions. Or if you're doing it yourself, go to Northwest Seed and Pet or one of those places
Right.
and ask the questions, and they have the products available for you.
Well, one of the things, folks, is that Wilbur Ellis has kind of changed. They used to be somewhat retail, but no longer are you retail. You've pretty well gone to strictly a distributorship, am I correct?
A wholesale model, kind of, yeah.
Wholesale.
And part of that is just we just don't have with COVID, it changed everything. We're
Yeah.
wearing masks today. We can't run out to your car. We can't let you in, none of those things. So it's better to go to a retailer where they're used to those kind of environments.
So-
We're just not set. So go to those places.
Go to the support your local business people that are out there spraying your
Yep.
yards, that are giving you these answers, but check with it. And if they have a question, they can also
They call me.
They call you.
I
mean,
get 100 pictures a week on my phone from them about your yard. So
right.
it happens.
Right. So you're going to get hold of Tim one way or the other.
One way or another.
I like that one.
That's kind of
Tim.
funny right there.
Well, yeah, exactly. Has this been a normal summer?
No, nowhere near it. The good news is we didn't have too much smoke. That was only about a week's worth, but we had a really wet spring that was kind of hot, cold,
Right.
really wet, rainy. Yards struggled through most of that. Then the heat hit and got really hot, and everybody started watering a couple times a day and didn't realize they were watering so much sometimes, but they were watering a lot. We were promoting tons of disease, all kinds of things going on. here we are in October, it's still hot outside, and we're still confused whether we should be watering, whether we should, what should we do? And those things I'm glad we've already covered. But it's been not a normal year, but I don't think there is normal. It's been really unusual weather-wise.
You know, I always make the comment that if you want a beautiful lawn, drive by the golf course because you've advised them what to do. And one of the things that they keep on doing, and I haven't heard much about it, is aeration.
Oh,
is that a big item?
Big deal.
Big deal.
Big deal. Aerations are extremely important. Think about, especially most of our yards in this area are bluegrass yards. Bluegrass is a rhizoming grass, which means it puts a root under the ground and then comes up with a new plant. When you aerate those, you break those roots, so now it causes new foliage, new plants, very desirable look to your yard. And it allows water and air and moisture to get where it's supposed to go. Reduces compaction, helps with all kinds of different things.
It's a positive thing is what you're saying.
It's tremendously positive.
We're going to take a break now, Tim, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to mention the last one, which is thatching. A lot of people think they've got to thatch, and I throw it up in the air, and I say, okay. So let's take a
talk
quick
about
break.
that one.
And you got some
I got a couple toys in here.
toys.
Yep.
Okay. We're going to take a break for right now, and we'll see you back on House to Home.
All right.
To help you be safe, Washington state law requires you to call 811 2 full business days before you plan, for example, to dig, drill, plow, pull from, or pound anything into the ground. Be prepared to provide the operator with the correct address, cross street, and the description of your work. You must mark the dig area with white paint. The operator will inform you of the utilities notified of your impending excavation. Wait for all their marks. Be safe and dig with care.
When building a home or considering a major remodel, who are you going to choose? The Spokane Home Builders Association is an organization that works to elevate professionalism in the residential construction industry. We promote, protect, and educate for our community, building our community one home at a time. We are the Spokane Home Builders Association.
Here at River Ridge Hardware, we carry a great selection of Krylon brand spray paints, Color Master, general purpose, the Rust Protector for taking care of metal, Fusion for taking care of plastics, and the Super Max that can take care of it all.
Weather in the inland Northwest can wear you down. And if your gutters are in poor condition or you do not have gutters, you could suffer damage that could cost a fortune to fix. Rainman Seamless Rain Gutters has almost 30 years of professional experience in serving the inland Northwest region and strives to ensure customer service that is second to none, from the time you call to the end of the project.
Welcome back to House to Home. I'm Clyde Housey along with Tim Magney with Wilbur Ellis.
Hey, Clyde.
We've been having fun here, and we were just commenting during the break here. You know, you and I, we could talk for hours about these things and still not talk on the same subject over and over again.
Right.
I mentioned before we took the break, thatching of a lawn.
Right.
What do you think? I have a good thatching is one thing, but I haven't seen too many good thatching. I think it's halfway.
So we talked about aeration before. I prefer
Aeration before thatching.
I prefer aeration most of the time. If you have an old, what I like a thatching on is an old lawn that just really needs to be roughed up. We want to overseed it. We want to just kind of get rid of some of that.
You're going to do no damage to it.
Yeah, if you're going to damage it anyway, it doesn't really matter. Right. But most of the other lawns, an aeration itself will do it. So there's times when I say it, but I really don't like thatching because it just damages good grass so much, and it takes a long time to recover.
It puts stress on the grass, and if you follow with good fertilization, with at least good aeration of at least once to twice a year.
Yep, once to twice is perfect.
And with that, you'll never have to thatch because the grass is growing. It's taking all the nourishment. The fertilizer can get in. I mean, it's all positive. Am I correct?
Very positive.
I ask your permission on that.
Because if you fertilize in the fall well,
Yep.
in spring, when it starts to go and it pushes that dead grass out, you mow it off, the grass is green, everything moves forward. Otherwise, that brown stays in there longer and you think you got to get it out. So then you want to thatch it.
Right.
Which is just not a good idea. Especially the later in the spring you go, the worse it is.
Okay.
So you and I got it.
So if you understand what we just said, be easy on the rake.
Yep.
Get the thatcher, have it do it.
Aerator.
Get the aerator and do it that way.
There you go.
Tim, you got some toys with you, and again, you need to explain what they're all about because they're not normal.
Well, let's start with this one. This is my favorite tool of the trade. It's a core aerator. Basically, we talked about an aeration. Well, this takes out single cores, but when I go with one of my customers and we go to look at a lawn, one of the first things they go is, oh, you know, the customer, usually I go out when they've either got a disease, a dry spot, or something unusual happened. Well, I can put this in the ground and I can tell you all about the roots. I can tell you about how your soil looks. I can tell you whether you're really watering or not. I can tell you about what the disease looks. I can tell you a lot of things about it just by taking a probe into the ground. Because a lot of times I get out there and I go, oh, I've watched my sprinkler water that spot, and then I pull the probe out and it's wet this far down and dry as a bone. Happens all the time. Well, they don't realize that, but when I get there with my soil probe, it tells me.
So what it's going to go down is about a foot?
It just depends on some lawns. Some lawns I get out there, I can't get it in about a half an inch. Others I can go down to the, past that.
Yeah. And from that, you're going to pull out a sample and you're going to determine root growth of the grass.
Yep, root depth.
Moisture.
I'm also going to know about some compaction. I'm also going to know about soil types as I go through it. Whether there's some potential of disease in there. I mean, there's a lot of things that tell me just with that little
Folks,
core
you didn't
sample.
understand that dirt is really kind of fascinating.
It is very fascinating. It's what grows the grass.
Our producer today running the cameras here, he was talking about watering and you said, oh my gosh, Vinny, we need to put that probe and check out your grass, see how it's doing. But, that's real important. And I have one of those also, and it, sometimes you can drive it in the ground, and sometimes you just don't get anywhere.
Cannot. It's almost this table.
It's almost like a rock.
And so you know that it's hydrophobic, so it will not accept moisture there then. So what do we got to do? Change up our watering, get a watering, like a wetting agent or something to go.
Right.
Got to change what's going on there because we got to help the water get in.
Well, in some cases, folks, and even a few of these 208 areas, sometimes they are so compacted, and they're not even working anymore. They're not functioning. So with a probe like that. So if you have a service pro person to come in there to take care of your lawn, tell me you want to have a probe. I want to look at my grass, see what it looks like.
I want to look at my root depth.
Yeah.
I love taking that out and using it. It's a pretty good deal.
Understand and ask good questions.
Yep.
What are some of the other tools you got here?
This is just a quick little in-home, check the pH of your soil so you know that pH one end or the other reduces the ability of your fertilizer and products to work. If it's too high, it's not good. If it's too low, it's not good. We need a 6.5 to a 7 pH for everything to work well.
He's given you probably one of the most important things. I've always said pH is one you have to understand. It's like saying, well, I guess the grass is a little bit not quite green. Well, that doesn't mean anything. You've got to understand what the pH factor of how it's going to use the water and the fertilizer, right?
Or I've fertilized and I've got just kind of a yellow looking lawn and I'm not sure why.
You put the right stuff on.
Or the fertilizer that I put on didn't work, so it must be a bad bag of fertilizer. Well, that doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen.
So if we understand maybe the pH is so out of whack that it holds onto those nutrients and doesn't let them available.
Right.
So now I fertilize, but it can't use it because it's not all in balance. So that's one of the things we have to balance out in our yard to make sure it's right. And typically, ours is high here. Our water's high and our pH is high. You go to Seattle and it's low. So lime raises it, sulfur brings it down.
So what Tim is saying, fertilizer isn't all the same.
No.
So if you have a service being done, request a pH. Now, can I tease you here and ask, is for the Spokane area, what should the numbers be? And then ask what your numbers are on your yard.
Right. Well, we like 6.5 to 7.5 is the best place to grow grass.
Okay. 6.5, 7.5.
But, so, and they can even go get a little tester at Home Depot or Lowe's or Northwest Seed and Pet. They can do their own. They can figure out what it is. Some garden plants don't like that pH. They want to be different. Maybe you need to know that. Why isn't your garden growing well? Well, it could just be the type of soil that you have.
You got to understand.
You can change that in a hurry.
Right. So a pH factor is very important.
Just to know.
Just to know and to better understand what you're fertilizing, how you're fertilizing, why are you fertilizing?
Right. And especially if you've been having any kind of problems.
Right.
Now let's dive into why.
Yeah, exactly.
So the other thing I bring is every time I go, this one and these are my two main tools. because
You've already got glasses.
I know I do, but this is a 10x lens, and I can't see all the bugs, nor can I see the little spots of disease or things on a grass plant or on a leaf. I really want to dive into what it is. A spider mite you can't see with the naked eye. So if you use a hand lens, now all of a sudden I can see what you're not seeing.
Right.
So I love a hand lens to go out so I can identify lesions on grass, disease problems, little bugs, little insects, that kind of thing. So very important tool for me.
Identifying what you're talking about is what does a bug look like? Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
He was chewing.
Right. Or did I even see a bug?
Yeah.
My plant's turning brown, but I don't know why.
You know, and this
Something else on there.
am I correct in this fall, this time of the year, that red spider is and a blight is you're really going to see when the plant starts stressing?
Well, stress is one big kicker for it. The spider mites would have happened in the middle of summer at really hot, but right now,
It's been hot all summer.
it has been hot. But we are seeing a lot of disease in the plant material. There's no doubt about that. We're seeing a tremendous amount of issues with plants. Just happened this year from our wet spring. It just is a carryover all the way through. Been really tough on plants.
Well, let me ask this question then, since it is late, it's the beginning of the fall.
Right.
But if people are looking at their plants saying, should we get them sprayed at this time of the year? Talk to our people about spraying them? And if so, what should we be asking for?
I mean, dormant sprays are still always good, but maybe in the spring. This time of year, again, I'm thinking fertilizer and having them healthy, good for next year, and I'm worried about watering. Make sure they're watering farther than you think you should.
Okay, so.
But I'm not worried about them as far as bugs on them, because you're seeing them little
They've already
blue
done the
ash
damage.
aphids flying around. You're not going to control those
Right.
at all.
So what Tim is saying is that get in there, make the plant healthy going into the winter.
Yep.
Am I correct?
Very much.
So if
And
I was
coming out of it.
right, if I'm going to take a few minutes here and explain to what's happening, Tim, because we're running out of time.
Oh,
But the issue is, how do I prepare my yard going into the winter, and
Right.
what should I expect in the springtime?
Right. So again, fertilize. We want to make it as healthy going into winter as we can.
Lawn and shrubs.
Lawn and shrubs. So they bounce out of it and they're healthy next year. They can battle through inclement weather, heat stress, cold stress, those kind of things, and move right through that. Shrubs the same way. Fertilize, get them into spring, take good care of them, water them well. Understand your watering system. Make sure that they are getting water. Probably for plant material, watering is the most important thing. And having fertilizers with micronutrients, some of those manganese, zincs, irons, some of those things. Those are very essential for a lot of our
They're
plant
not part
material.
of the 3 numbers on the bag.
They're not part of the 3 numbers. And our turf doesn't care about most of those little numbers. They care
Right.
about N, P, and K and a little sulfur to reduce the pH. They want nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium.
Right.
That's what the grass grows on. The
Right.
rest is more about what the plants really want.
We used to use the word of a trace element.
Trace
That-
element, yep.
We
That's
want the
the
trace
minors,
element. And they all play a very important part of this
Yep.
whole program, am I
Yep.
correct?
Very much.
Okay, sprinkler system, watering,
Yep.
and then we're going to talk about pruning.
Yep. This is the time of year when we want to identify the plants that we want to prune. I just brought my little hand pruner here, but let's let them go dormant. Let's let the leaves come off, and then
Right.
let's go ahead and start pruning and reducing some of that foliage or
canopy
shaping them
heavy.
up a little bit.
Snow breakage.
Yep. And if we've had some disease on there, let's get all those leaves out, because disease goes back and forth in the springtime. If we're just leaving debris all over, all we're doing is setting ourselves up to have disease again next year. So if we've had issues,
Remove your trimmings.
remove your trimmings, remove your leaves, remove the debris.
Okay. And so trimming is going to help out even with ice and snow damage.
Ice,
and,
snow.
And watch that.
Helping it be a vibrant plant next year, that kind of thing.
Well, Tim, it's always a pleasure to have you here. And again, everybody that a lot of people watching our show are saying, I've got a yard I don't quite understand.
Right.
If you are hiring services done, ask questions.
Ask.
Get a second opinion. Ask them to call Wilbur Ellis and get an answer. No, but the bottom line is,
Right.
is that everybody out there that's serving right now really are qualified people.
Very good at what they
Because you're
do.
actually teaching them is what you're doing.
Most of them.
You teach the majority of them. Tim does certification for a lot of the
Yep.
sprays and for the state and so forth. So Tim knows these people one by one and name by name. So, and Tim is saying they have the right information to deal with. They just
Right.
need to be the right
Or they know how to
question.
get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Tim,
Perfect.
as usual, you do a great job. Thank you for coming in and sharing. And good luck as you carry your lawn and your yard on and forward into the next season. But as Tim says, don't be afraid to fertilize. Don't cut off the sprinkler system yet. But we need to enjoy and really be aware of what's going on. So for right now, this is Clyde Hosey, Tim Magney.
Thank you, Clyde.
House to Home, we're always here for the great education. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. Ask the host a question, recommend a guest, or check out any of our other programs on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SpokaneTalksMedia.com. Sponsored by Avista.